I want to welcome you all here tonight for this open meeting to meet the people running for Public School Trustee at the Hamilton Wentworth District School Board in Wards 3, 4, and 5, affectionately known as the Lower City. This evening is being hosted as I think it's 6 similar evenings. 2 of them have already gone. We've got 3 more next week. Meet the Candidate Nights being hosted by the Hamilton Wentworth Council of Home and School Associations. I would like at this time to remind you that we are the home and school. We're not the home versus the school. And we're certainly not the homeschoolers, which is a common misconception. In fact, we love our educators and we love our schools. We want them to be the best they can be. We want all of our public schools to be excellent, open, and accessible to every student in the province of Ontario. We shudder to think of doing this at home. So, a little bit about home and school in the Hamilton area. Our first association was formed in 1927 at George R. Allen School by the principal of the school, Mr. Little. 2 years later, he formed the second association at Ryerson. By 1933, there were enough associations to form a council, and in fact, that's what they did. The Hamilton Council grew and split to become the Hamilton Council and the Wentworth County Council, and then when amalgamation came into being, we also amalgamated to form the new Hamilton Wentworth Council of Home and School Associations. So for over 85 years, home and school members in the Hamilton Wentworth area have kept their same aim and objective, which is to obtain the best for each student, at home, at school, and in the community. To this end, they have lobbied for the protection of children at busy intersections and decreased speed limits in school zones, affordable student accident insurance for every student. We've picketed City Hall to have rec centers built, and then we've taken the fight across the road to the board to make sure that the students can use those rec centers and incorporate swimming lessons into the PE curriculum. We've lobbied the movie houses in town to have movies containing violence or inappropriate language shown during the evening, leaving the matinee fair for our younger children and youth. On a global scale, home and school members have put together layettes for newborn babies born in Britain during World War II, led the Mother's March on Polio, and helped organize mass X-ray sessions so that we could identify and then treat tuberculosis. From Mother's Choirs, anybody remember the Mother's Choirs? No, we're all too young, yay. Mother's Choirs, spelling bees, music festivals, and of course our annual Teacher Staff Appreciation Week held in February, and events such as this where we allow the electorate to meet those people running for trustee. It was also home and school that was able to bring the UNICEF boxes, the little orange boxes, into the schools to distribute to the children so that they could take them trick-or-treating on Halloween night. And it was also home and school who fought to have our schools remain open on the 11th of November so that students would be in school learning the significance of the day. To date, 5 people have come from the Hamilton Wentworth area through the Home and School Council to go on to become president of the Ontario Federation of Home and School Associations. And I'm very pleased to say that next year a 6th person will be taking on that role, and a lot of you may know her. It's our own lovely Sandra Binns, who's hiding, I don't know where. She's hiding. So I would just say that for those of you who have heard, and I know you have heard, that the difference between school councils and home and schools is that school councils do all the hard work and home and school does the fun stuff and the fundraising. Just to consider some of those things that I just told you home and schools have been responsible for and continue to fight for over 85 years in Hamilton Wentworth. Okay, on to the business of the night, which is, first of all, thanking and congratulating these people up here who have been brave enough or perhaps foolish enough to put their names forward to run for trustee for the Hamilton Wentworth District School Board. And I think we owe them all a big thanks and perhaps an opening round of applause. There are 5 people running for trustee in Ward 3, 4 people in Ward 4, and 2 people in Ward 5, which kind of follows the theme of last night where we moved from one end of the mountain to the other, and by the time we got over to the West Mountain there was only 2 people. So I don't know what that means, but it's just odd to observe. So tonight, Each of the candidates who are here will be given 2 minutes to speak, to introduce themselves and to tell you why they're running for trustee or what they think is the most important issue. It's entirely up to them what they talk about. The names will be drawn in random order from a little blue bag here. Okay, I'm giving you all instructions here. After you do your 2 minutes, you are to pick the next name from the bag. Please don't make me run back and forth across the stage chasing you down to get you to pick the number, okay? Good. Okay. When you get your 2 minutes, we do have an appointed timekeeper sitting out here. They are going to let you know when you have 1 minute left to go by holding up a green piece of paper. 30 seconds to go, you're getting yellow, and the hook comes out with the orange piece of paper. Okay? So she's sitting right down here, and you should be able to see her. After you introduce yourself and do your opening remarks, we're going to move on to 3 questions that were provided to the candidates ahead of time. So they've all had time to prepare answers to these questions. They are going to be drawn at random, so they don't know yet which question they're going to have to answer. It'll be pick a card, any card, and you will be given 3 minutes at that point to speak to whichever question it is that you happen to draw. And again, timekeeper, colored cards, yank at the end of 3 minutes. We'll then have, it says closing remarks, and we will then be taking questions from the floor, and we ask you to keep those questions non-personal and non-confrontational, if at all possible. Be respectful of the candidates and everybody else here. We will then adjourn the formal part of the meeting and ask you to move into the lobby of the school where you can meet the candidates in an informal session and maybe have some snacks and conversation. So, all that being said, any questions? Clear as mud, right? Okay, I'm picking the first name because I've got the microphone. This person had better be here, I'm telling you. No, not here. Running in Ward 5, Todd White. So you can, wherever you're comfortable. If you want there, if you want here. Okay, yes, don't forget the name.
Hello everyone, and I want to say good evening to you, and thank you very much for allowing me to join you. First and foremost, I want to say thank you to Home and School, who have always been absolutely fantastic at the school board. In particular, I do see Angela here, the head of our chapter. I am a proud member of Home and School myself at Rosedale, who we see a couple of our folks here. Good to see you, Rosedale. And everyone else that's joining us. I see members of the Parent Involvement Committee and others. So thank you very much for joining us, and thank you for the opportunity to participate in such an important debate or meet and greet. This election, as we see it here, is a very, very important election here at the school board. When I arrived at the school board in 2010, there was very little attention to the decision-making that trustees had. When we looked out in the audience, there were a few media, there were a few community members. But now we've come a long way in 4 years. There is a huge amount of interest in what trustees do at the school board, and to the point where trustees are receiving plenty of feedback, conversation, and engagement. And that's the type of discussion that makes our school board stronger and gives our kids a much stronger education and opportunity for achievement. So I want to thank all of you once again, and I do look forward to the next 4 years ahead, and I welcome all of your support. Thank you. Linda Chenoweth. No, Linda's here.
Oh, Linda's here. I'm sorry.
Here you go, Linda.
God, my intuition. I said I knew that. Yes, I'm Linda Chenoweth, candidate for Ward 4. Looking back, school boards were established to operate Ontario's publicly funded schools, and each school board was supposed to be governed by publicly elected trustees, working for the tax-paying public, and ensuring that the community has a vehicle to express its important concerns on education. Unfortunately, somewhere along the way, the role of school board trustee has changed in the current climate of politics and economics. The Board of Trustees, I feel, has lost its will and ability to play an important part in our local democracy. And this could be due in part to the passing of Bill 177 by our present government that effectively made the trustees subservient to the director. And trustees now more or less are carrying out the directives of the Ministry of Education. So I feel Hamilton Wentworth District School Board is in need of effective and ethical leadership from its trustees to represent the educational needs of the communities in the city. It's in need of advocates who will challenge the present way we do business at Hamilton Wentworth District School Board and put students before politics and corporate directives. I think it's imperative that trustees, along with our school board, so working along with our school board, advocate on behalf of the learners such things with all the flawed formulas that we're having to deal with, the funding formula, the school capacity formula, the enrollment formulas, many of them unaddressed, special education formulas that are causing so many problems, enrollment formulas that cause kindergarten classes to have over 30 students in each, ARC, accommodation and review, a flawed process. So it's time for a change in leadership in Ward 4. I am your candidate, Linda Chenoweth.
Okay, and now from Ward 3, we have Eric Monterosa. I hope I said that right. Okay, good.
Very good. Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Eric Monterosa, and I am running for Public School Trustee in Ward 3. I am running as a concerned citizen, but more importantly, I'm running as a concerned parent whose part of heart and soul belong to Ward 3. There are many reasons why I have decided to run for Public School Trustee. One reason is the way the current Board of Trustees is calling for the closure of many community schools across Hamilton. Concerned citizens, parents, and students, not only from Ward 3, but from across Hamilton, have told with a firm, loud voice to our current trustees to save our community schools. However, that voice has been lost in a stack of papers and reports, or has been flat out ignored. If elected, I, Eric Monterosa, will strive to bring back that voice back to the floor of the school board, pure and free from any bias from any political slate of trustees. Another reason why I have decided to run for Public School Trustee is to stop wasteful spending. Selling Scott Park cheap only to buy it back at 10 times the price makes no sense, especially while there are parents in Ward 3 that have been told that there are no funds available to meet the academic needs of their children. Another reason why I have decided to run for Public School Trustee is to fight for our community, for local community schools to remain open and to vote against the mega schools being proposed by our current trustees. Mega schools which create more problems than they solve and create more questions than they answer. As your candidate, I do not need any political parties pulling strings to get elected so that they can control your voice. But what I do need is your vote. So on election day, October 27th, I ask you to vote for me, Eric Monterosa, and help me bring back the voice of the community to the Board of Trustees. Help me stop wasteful spending and help me stop the mega schools and help me save our community schools. Thank you very much.
Oh.
Thank you.
Okay, from Ward 3, Jeremy Fritchley.
Yes, thank you.
There we go. Oh, sorry.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jeremy Fritchley. I'm running for school board on the public board, public board trustee for Ward 3. And I'd like to tell you a bit about myself. I'm going to slow down a bit. I was born in Hamilton back in the early 70s, so that's showing my age. I grew up in Hamilton my entire life. I ended up going to high school at Glendale, which is I'm just up the street from here. The story I want to tell you is about why I'm running. It is a lot to do with poverty and allowing our kids all the chances they can possibly have to obtain their dreams. I grew up in poverty, nothing like I've seen in some neighborhoods of Ward 3, but I did grow up in poverty. I always had something to eat. My mother always took care of us that way. We didn't always necessarily have, I would guess, the proper size clothing and stuff like that. I used to get made fun of at school wearing pants and jeans that were way too short and stuff like that. I volunteer in Ward 3 now. I've been living in Ward 3 for 6 years. And I started volunteering with City Kids, and I also volunteer with the Hamilton Basketball Association. So I see a lot of kids, and I meet a lot of kids, and I love these kids. I see the way they live, and it was nowhere near what I had to go through. The conditions they live in, having to fight for a meal. I never had that problem when I was a kid. I want to run for them, basically, and give them every chance, bring them out of poverty, and let them continue their education throughout high school and on to college or university. Thank you.
Go. Okay. I know they're hard to get rid of. Oh, okay, thank you. And from Ward 4, we have Mr. Ray Mulholland.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank the Home School for sponsoring tonight's event. I am Ray Mulholland. I've been a privilege to be a trustee for 41 years to represent Ward 4 in East End, Hamilton. I was born, raised, and I was educated in the East End. My workplace was in the East End, so I really am a true and proud East Ender. My first board was on June 28, 1972. When I walked into that scary boardroom, I with a burning passion to protect public education and to defend public education and to champion the needs of every student, regardless of his or her disability or ability, for them to attain their education and what they deserve. I would suggest that my passion has not wavered one bit. It has in fact increased because I have declared myself a full-time trustee. I would end up by saying that my priority is family first, but second is my job as a position as a school trustee. You know, this year is going to be difficult. We have 7 very dedicated, hardworking trustees leaving our board. We will be left with 4 incumbents. If they are successful, which I hope we are, we will still have a major job to fulfill. So I'm saying to each and every one of you out there, when you go to vote, remember, when you vote for school trustee, it is important, so use it very carefully. Thank you.
Okay, pull another one. Go find somebody.
Like me to dance?
Yeah, okay, sing and dance while you're at it. Okay. Technical difficulties, just hold on here.
It's like a show. It's like a show.
Okay, he's here.
Okay.
I put all the names in the bag because I was told everybody was coming, and now we keep pulling names of people who aren't here. And anyhow, we have now recovered, and running for trustee in Ward 3, we have Michael Adkins.
Hello, my name is Michael Adkins, and I want to be public school trustee for Ward 3 because I want to make a difference. For decades, I've been involved with projects in Hamilton, with organizations, and particularly my private practice, I've been involved with a fair number of individuals where my efforts have always brought about positive change. As we are on a bit of a time limit here, the ladies down here telling people that they can't speak for too long, I would suggest if you want to know what I've done over the decades, you can contact Google. I want to make a difference in our children's lives. I want to be part of an organization that listens to parents and then acts on their behalf to make Hamilton a great place to raise and educate our children. I want to work with schools, with other trustees, with the parents, with City Council, and with the Ministry of Education to make Hamilton's educational system the envy of the province. I want Hamilton to be a place where people move to because our schools are so good. Hyperbole? No, not at all. I have a history of changing for the better any organization I either join or I'm appointed to or I'm elected to. I love my family. I love my city. I care about each and every family in this city, and I care about every child in our city. And I want them to excel academically and to have every opportunity to achieve the goals in their life. It starts in our schools. On October 27th, please vote for Michael Adkins, Public School Trustee, Ward 3. Thank you very much. And don't forget, A is for Adkins.
You're safe. They're both here, so whoever you pick is here.
Where are they? Oh, it's a little
I
tiny.
know, they're tiny. I know. It's a trick. Thank you. Okay, and now trustee candidate in Ward 3, Larry Pattison.
Thank you very much for coming. First, I'd like to thank the Hamilton Wentworth Home and School Organization as well for organizing all these great events, for all of you for coming out, and for everybody watching on live stream, and for all those who will be watching at their convenience, thanks to the wonders of technology. My name is Larry Pattison, and I'm a father and homeowner. I live in Ward 3, and I have for a very long time. Trustee elections have not usually been a big deal, but this has changed. The threat of our neighborhood schools and our children's education makes these elections very important. Over the last 5 years, our provincial government and our school board have started a campaign against our neighborhood schools. They want to close these neighborhood assets and bus our kids to mega schools. I was advocating for our community long before my name was placed on the ballot on January 2nd. I was there and I was an active participant when Parkview students, their parents, and our community fought to keep that school and its programming intact. I saw the needs of our children ignored, our voices and our concerns were brushed aside. We were given promises, and those promises were broken. The board said it would consult with communities and listen to our concerns. I attended those meetings. The communities spoke out, and they were not heard. Without exception, your voices were ignored, and those schools are scheduled to or have closed and will be demolished. Our trustee, our representative, our voice on the board did not speak up for us. Our elected representative did not stand up for our community. Over the next 4 years, each and every school in Ward 4 and each and every one of the schools that are represented tonight by these trustee candidates will be part of this faulty review. We are facing more broken promises from a broken process. Our community and our children do not need any more boarded up or empty schools. We can change this. To move forward, we need to restore a good working relationship with our city council. We need trustees who will fight to retain and expand our neighborhood schools. Schools are the heart of our communities, and I promise that I will fight to stop school closures. I will work for with our city council. I will work to bring our children the best possible. Oh, sorry, I thought it was a red sign. Sorry.
It's orange.
Thank you. I was looking for red.
Okay, and last but certainly not least, running for trustee in Ward 4 is Sandra Lindsay.
Thank you. Good evening, and thank you for this wonderful opportunity to be in front of you today. My name is Sandra Lindsay, and I am running for Public School Board Trustee in Ward 4. The reason I'm running is I feel that our area needs a trustee with fresh ideas and strong leadership. We need a representative at the board who is a decisive leader who understands the needs of our area and someone who will strongly advocate for our students, family, staff, and citizens. If elected, I will do all these things, not only for Ward 4, but all the students, families, staff, and citizens across the public school board system of Hamilton. As a trustee, I will take every opportunity to engage in meaningful discussions with parents, citizens, and staff at all levels in order to improve our education system. I believe strongly that there is always opportunities for improvement in any system or program, and that by working together, we will accomplish our common goals. My top priorities, if elected, are ensuring our special education programs meet the needs of all of our students, that school closures are the exception and not the rule, and that teaching and non-teaching staff receive fair and equitable wages and benefits. As a trustee, I will aggressively advocate for funding reform and total overhaul of the accommodation review process, while working to make sure that we're using board resources efficiently. Our students deserve to receive the best education possible. They deserve to be prepared with the tools for the future, while we make sure we are being fiscally responsible with taxpayer dollars. I will work hard to promote positive school climates, which are healthy, inclusive, and accepting. I will ensure the education needs of all students across the board are met with programs that allow them to pursue their individual goals. Thank you, and consider voting for me on October 27th.
Thank you. Okay, now you have heard from all the trustees, and they've had a little taste of what it's like to have those cards flashed in front of their face. A little public service announcement here. Everybody has asked you to vote for them on October 27th. If you can't make it to the polls on October 27th, you have 5 other opportunities starting tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. The advance polls will be open this week on Thursday and Saturday, next week on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, starting at 10 in the morning. Hold on. The advance polls for Ward 3 will be held at the Norman Pinky Lewis Recreation Center, for Ward 4 at the Sir Winston Churchill Recreation Center, which I believe is across the road, and for Ward 5 at the Dominic Agostino Riverdale Community Center. So you have 6 days to vote, so there's really no excuse for not doing it. Just saying. Moving along, I have to do a little housekeeping here. We have 3 questions for the trustees to answer, and rather than go through calling the candidates up in random order, I'm just going to start. Who wants to go first, you or Ray? You can rustle if you like. We'll let Ray go first. And then we're going to move along the line in order, and as you come up, you can pick a card, and that will tell you which question you're going to answer. So these questions were submitted to the candidates by the Hamilton Wentworth Council of Home and School Associations. I believe they're in your program. Question number 1 is, how will you be the parent-student voice at the board for your constituents? Question number 2 is, how will you engage your community to build the parent-board relationship? And question number 3 is, there have been many changes at the Hamilton Wentworth District School Board. How will you help the community move forward? So, hold on. This is the housekeeping part. I forgot to write the numbers on the cards. Something about willow trees here, Sandra. Okay, Ray, if you'd like to come forward, you're going to get 3 minutes to talk. Yes, I want you up here now. I'm going to shuffle the cards, and then you can pick a card and answer a question. Okay. Questions are right here. Hold on, I want to make this fair.
Number 3.
Number 3. There's number 3. You have 3 minutes.
Number 3. There has been many changes at the DSP. How will you help the community move forward? Well, number one, you have to make sure that you engage the entire community. That's parents, volunteers, and staff and non-staff. And you have to make sure that there's strategies for them to attend certain functions that they can in fact promote change. I would suggest that some of the organizations here tonight, the Home at School is a vehicle to get into the school environment. The school council is another one. And there's, if you move down into the school, to the student body, there is for the students to be part of the process that they should be, there is a students' senate, there is the director's voice, student voice senate, and they are all things to promote activities within the board. There are others, too many to mention. I think that answers most of it. So I would promote change by including everyone involved in education. It's not a trustee's responsibility to promote change on his or her own. It is a board decision, it is a community decision, and it must be a community to working together to make those changes happen. Thank you. Do I have to pick one?
Todd?
Number 2. How will you engage your community to build the parent-board relationship? So that's a question we ask ourselves quite a bit. As a board trustee, I'm the liaison, actually for 3 years, the liaison to the Home and School Association of Hamilton, and in addition to that, the Parent Involvement Committee. And we ask ourselves that question a lot on how do we engage parents, how do we engage community members? And what we've learned quite clearly is that it really differs based on the part of the city that we're trying to engage. It depends on the school, it depends on the communities, it also depends on the topics. So we have, for instance, tried consultations online that you'll see quite often. I'm chair of the policy committee, so we'll have several dozen, or at least a dozen or so policies up per year, and we do get reasonable feedback, but we know we must go beyond that. So we bring the policy consultations to your home and school associations, we bring them to the Parent Involvement Committee, and we get on the ground level. What I've experienced here in East Hamilton is that we need to take it to that next level. On many occasions, if we were to call a meeting and say, hey, everyone show up and give us your feedback, the room may not be packed. What we do, or at least my approach as a trustee for Ward 5, is to go to the schools, engage the parents directly, go to the school councils or home and school associations, and speak with parents and try to understand exactly what's on their mind. But there's more than just one level of engagement for parents. We also focus on student engagement, staff engagement, and community engagement. So part of the process, and what we've seen to be successful, is going in at an early stage and engaging our communities from the very beginning, not just once the process is developed, but actually in developing the process, and then taking everyone along every step of the way. So that way we can evaluate whatever the topic might be. The big one, as we're all familiar with, is accommodation reviews. And for me, it's easy to throw around buzzwords around mega schools and walkability and other important subjects. However, when you get down on the ground level and you start doing the research, it depends on every single school and every different community. So as a trustee, I was elected not to sit on my hands and call for a moratorium on any decisions that may or may not happen. My job as a trustee is to bring this board forward and to get on the ground level and learn what the communities are saying and what they want the design of their schools to look like. I can tell you from a Ward 5 perspective, our schools need a lot of improvement, and from what I hear at the doorstep and from a lot of parents and students is that we are looking forward for renewal, and that's something I look forward to bringing forward. So thank you for the question.
Thank you. Okay, and it's Lindsay, right? Sandra. Oh, see, I'm reading, yeah. Sandra, it's Sandra Lindsay. It's very confusing because somebody wrote the names the other way on the tag, so I wasn't really, no, on the little slip. So it's, okay, from Ward 4 and,
Hold on, pick anyone.
pick anyone. Okay, that's okay. I got it. Yep.
Okay.
microphone?
Thank you very much. Thanks. Okay, so I have question number 2, which is again, just as a reminder, how will you engage your community to build the parent-board relationship? In my day-to-day life, I am surrounded by a lot of people who are directly affected by the school system, whether it's in the schools, my daughter's schools, or if it's just interacting with my friends, neighbors, people that I volunteer with, coworkers, those sort of things. Education is a passion of mine, so I'm constantly asking questions and trying to find out what the experience of people is when it comes to the school system, good and bad, what needs changing, what works for them, what doesn't. So I would continue to talk to not only my circle of friends, but broaden that and take it out to the different schools in Ward 4 and engage the community to give feedback and listen to that feedback. Make sure that I don't make promises that I know I can't keep. And if for some reason I do say that I would do something and it doesn't turn out that that's possible, then I need to be honest and upfront with the community and let them know that things can't always, that we're working with a huge system and things can't always be possible. So being upfront, honest, accountable, and forthcoming would be ways that I would engage the community. Also actively listening to members, being it students, parents, citizens, staff, and other trustees, building that relationship with the board, other board members is important to me so that I understand the issues and concerns of all of the community across the city of Hamilton. So in closing, I would continually to remind people as I engage them that we are working together as a common goal, and that is to make Hamilton the best place to raise a child. Thank you.
You are allowed to pick one. I'm just looking to see. I want to make sure I give you the right information. Oh,
I thought we had to pick one before we came here, but that's okay.
oh, okay.
I'll wing it.
You're experienced. You can do it. Michael Adkins running for trustee in Ward 3. Which one do you want? Which one do you want? There you go.
Number 3.
Want this? Microphone?
I'm just going to look and see which one it is here.
Oh, right here. It's written right there.
There have been many changes at the HWDSB. How will you help the community move forward? So I'm going to do a blending because I sort of prepared for another question, thinking we were allowed to pick one question. One of the things that I will be very good at will be accessibility. One of the things that I plan on doing to improve the communication between the constituents and the school board is to be very available. I will attend every school board meeting at every school in Ward 3. And not only that, what I plan on doing is I plan on setting up a time at every school, every either week or month, depending on what is necessary, where parents and or the children can come in and speak to me. Like it won't be with the principal, it won't be with the teacher, it'll be where they can air their concerns. And from there, I will move forward, and if I can do something about the situation or if it's a concern that needs to be calmed, I will calm it. Another thing about accessibility in my private practice as both a family counselor, a trauma counselor, and a divorce counselor, I have to make myself very accessible, and I am renowned. If you page me, I will return your call, because you're concerned, within 5 minutes. All my clients know this. I will take a break. I will leave the office, come back. And I'm thinking I might do something similar with whoever the chair or the president of the school board is. I will make myself available by pager so that there's a situation that needs to be dealt with. I will deal with it right away. On my tours around the community, I noticed a number of people were saying, that, you know, I called and nobody called me back. I called the school, nobody called me back. I called the superintendent, nobody called me back. I called the school trustee, nobody called me back. That will never happen if I am elected. I will respond. I will be accessible. Thank you very much.
Number. And running in Ward 4, Linda Chenoweth. Chenoweth, sorry.
Question number 1, how will I be the parent-student voice at the board for my constituents? The first thing I'd like to tell you, I didn't get a chance in the short first 2 minutes, is that I have experience as a parent, I have experience as an East End resident, and I have experience as a teacher with the Hamilton Wentworth District School Board for 25 years. As a parent, I have a son now 20 who's been through 5 schools in the Hamilton Wentworth District School Board, so I bring my experience in dealing with his educational process through the system. I bring my experience as a teacher in numerous East End schools, but first and foremost, I can bring my experience as a voice from a teacher who has taught 25 years in East End schools. And I retired early due to my disillusionment with the state of education in our province. And I still have many friends in teaching and still hear about what's going on in education, so I have kept abreast of all the things that are continuing to happen. Being a voice, using my experience that I just described to you, but also being available, as was just mentioned, is extremely important. But being in the schools and being at all the events in the schools, meetings, as well as, I think it's really important not to wait for phone calls, but to be out and listening, especially at things like open houses where you actually will get people in the schools, as you can see by our enrollment or attendance here tonight. Not a lot of us here for covering of our 3 wards, but when it's open house at school, there's lots of people there. So I would certainly use that as an opportunity to survey the people and use that opportunity to talk to them about that. So we've got using my experience, what I think is one of my greatest assets that I bring to the position of trustee, that I can use my knowledge and experience about what's going on in education and be a very knowledgeable advocate for the people that are coming to me, because I know what they're talking about. I've been there in the school. So effective trustees can have an impact on public education policy at our local level, and it's time for our trustees to reestablish their role and advocate for the students, or for the communities that they represent, rather than reflect only the position of the ministry. Thank you.
Now, the next 3 gentlemen, as it turns out, are all representing Ward 3, or running for trustee in Ward 3. Sorry about that. And, oh, there he is. Hold on. I got to shuffle it. This is Larry Pattison with number 3.
So how will I help the community move forward from the many changes at the board? It all relates back to, and we've heard many other of the candidates talk about, it relates back to reinstating the trust back in the elected officials and the engagement process in the community. What we've seen through all these ARC processes is the one great thing that the board gave us is they gave us a voice. Unfortunately, it took closing schools and ripping apart our communities to do that. But the fact is, we're all heavily engaged, and I know we have a bit of a break now until the next ARC is scheduled to start next year, but we need to keep this engagement, and we need to start having these conversations right now, continue to have these conversations, so that when these ARCs do start back up again, if they do, that we're ready for them. We know all about our schools, we know what the ideas are, and that's the biggest thing that we can do to move forward is to continue to be engaged and as hard as we have been. We're very lucky in the lower city, especially in Ward 3, to have great neighborhood organizations. And in my eyes, that's the best way to move forward, is to make sure that education gets involved in that process of these neighborhood planning teams. We had Gala, who kind of started it all off in the lower community by starting an education subcommittee. And I've had the honor this year of sitting on that committee. And it's great to, I mean, you've heard people talking about the ARCs, you've heard the parent involvement, but now you have people in the community who don't necessarily have kids enrolled in school, and now they're taking it upon themselves to, they've heard what's been happening, they've heard your voices, and now they are taking it upon themselves to talk about it in the community. And from that stemmed another community that's called the iHeat, and what it is now it's going to take issues from all of across Ward 3 and bring them all together. Crown Point has also now just started an education subcommittee as well. So I believe this is the best way to bring the voices of the community, bring the voices of the teachers and the parents and the kids all together. You need to be in the community, which I have been. You need to be at these neighborhood association meetings, as I have been. You need to go to parent council meetings, as I've been listening for the past 3 years, an active member at Parkview. And I've had the opportunity to attend the Home and School for Adelaide Hoodless. And it's great to see such a big organization of parents getting together to talk about these issues. So that's the biggest thing. That's how we move forward, is to continue to be engaged and to continue to be involved in this process and to make sure your voices are heard. And that's what I'm here to do, is make sure that all your voices are heard. Thank you.
And Jeremy Fritchley.
Number one, how will you be the parent-student voice to, on the board to your constituents? It all, in my opinion, it starts with the children. It's the children we're all here for. It's their voice that we need to listen to first, I think. We start with the children, their parents, and then we branch out to the community, because it's a community effort, I believe. We all need to work together, starting, I don't want to repeat myself, but I really would like to hear from the children first. They are the ones that are going to school. I want to hear what their problems are. I want to basically be available to not only the children, the parents, the community as a whole, just to be in the school system, at the school itself. I would like to possibly set up an office and be there. There's in Ward 3, there's 4 schools currently. Spend a day at each school during the week and be there, whether it's in the morning or the afternoon, during lunch, after school, setting up times where people can come communicate with you. I believe there's a lot to be done across the school board, across the city, and I believe it all starts basically with the community itself. As a trustee, it's my job to take the concerns of the entire community and move forward from there. Basically, setting up meetings wherever the opportunity comes up. At the end of the day, I would just like to be available for the students, the parents, and the community, and work together. The only way we can get anything done is by working together. Thank you.
And last up to pick a card is Eric Monterosa. There we go.
All right, thank you very much. So I got question number 1. So the question is, how will you be the parent/student voice at the board of your constituents? Let me first begin by saying that I don't like the word your constituents. They're not mine to control. I don't own them. I rather call them the constituents of Ward 3. They are individuals. They are important. And unfortunately, they have as I have spoken face-to-face with parents and students, as I have canvassed the streets of Ward 3, knocking on many doors, there's one thing a common theme that keeps coming time and time again. They feel their voice has been stamped out by expensive and yet inactive reports. That their voice, the voice of the parents and students, has been ignored because it's easier to do so than rather fight for it. How will I, Eric Monterosa, be the voice of the constituents of Ward 3? Well, simply by listening to the parents and students of Ward 3 and relaying that voice back to the board. Pure and free from any bias from any political party. If the report says the school is underutilized, but the parents and students of Ward 3 say that report is wrong, I will raise my hand and say the parents and students of Ward 3 told me to tell all of you trustees that report is wrong. If the recommendation is to tear down a successful public school to make room for a parking lot, for a stadium, but the parents and students of Ward 3 say this is unacceptable, I will raise my hand and say the parents and students of Ward 3 told me to tell all of you trustees that this is unacceptable. Even if the trustees band together and say this will be done, but the parents and students of Ward 3 say this must not be done, I will raise my hand and say the parents and students of Ward 3 told me to tell all of you trustees this must not be done. I have met many parents. I have met many families that have been affected so far. And believe me that has been done. We have a lot of work to get caught up on. We have a lot of work to do to get that trust back, to get that footing back. So on election day, on October 27th, or one of the earlier polls, I ask that you vote for me, Eric Monterosa, and let me serve Ward 3. Let me be the voice for Ward 3. Thank you very much.
So somebody was listening to me. That's a change. Okay. Take a deep breath. That part's over. You've all survived. It says on the agenda closing remarks, and then we're going to have questions. I'm not really sure, so I'm not going to give closing remarks. I'm just going to give remarks. How about that? I want you to know that if you want to know more about home and school, that there are some lovely ladies with some wonderful literature out in the foyer. So when we go out to, or the lobby, whatever you want to call it, to meet with our trustee candidates, that they'll be glad to talk to you about home and school. You can pick up some literature if you want to join, if you want to form an association. We're all here to help you do that. I also have some wonderful news that although our Home and School Council is over 80 years old, we've been here for 80 years, we have had a website for about 2 weeks. Yay! The very wonderful and talented Michelle from Dundas Central, who's here with us tonight, Dundas Central Home and School, has set up a website for us. It's at www.hwcouncil.wix.com/home-and-school. And it's really wonderful, and we have control over it, so we don't have to wait for anybody to post information and take things down. So you can check that out and find out what the Home and School is doing in your area, and there are links there, of course, to our provincial organization. The council also has a Facebook page, which is becoming kind of a hot place to be since we started these trustee meetings. We've just skyrocketed in people. I know, we're all the way up to 29 people liked us as of today. Listen, this is good news. It's going up. So I invite you to drop by our Facebook page and again, keep up with what's going on. And there is news on both those media outlets about the upcoming trustee nights that are being held next week on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And don't ask me where, I don't know, but check our website and you'll find out. So. Now, we are going to really put these people up here on the hot seat, and we're going to open the floor to questions. So I'll ask you to, if you have a question, to make your way down to the front and use the microphone. Let us know who you want to ask the question of, if it's somebody specific or if it's everybody from the ward. And if it's everybody from the ward, we'll sort of determine the time that way, okay? and just so that we move things along, and this is where we're going with the flow. So I invite anybody with a question to come forward.
If you don't mind, somebody at home has a question that I thought was a good one. So somebody watching live at home has a really good question for you guys. Education development charges. It's one of the things that the board determines. What are your thoughts on the current education development charges bylaw? And what would you change, if anything?
Okay, and is this for everybody? Okay.
It is for all candidates, yes.
Okay. Yeah, if you want to start, and maybe everybody just take a turn, but maybe about a minute.
To answer the question personally, in the year of the amalgamation, 1999, we were asked to accept development charges. The Wentworth County Board had those charges. The City of Hamilton did not. We turned down that request. So we have not had development charges for the last, forever. This year we approved them. I did not, because I wanted 2 or 3 exempted. For instance, I did not want the Habitat for Homes to be charged development charges. I thought that was inappropriate. And I also did not want our students building a house in Salt Fleet with the contractors, for that contractor to be charged development charges. So I imagine it's not going to cripple the housing industry if it costs $1,042 per home. That's what the charge would be. However, in our location down here, if in fact you want to build a house, we don't have that money.
And do you all want to take a crack at this?
Oh, it's okay, yeah, just in terms of education development charges, it's a good topic. For those of you that don't know, the board just became eligible for EDCs. In the past, they were not. So when a new home is built within the city of Hamilton, despite the size or cost, there is a levy or tax of about just over $1,000. In terms of EDCs, do I support them? Absolutely. As a school board, we have virtually no ability to generate revenue. That exists solely with the Ministry of Education. This is one of the few avenues that the board can take advantage of through the legislation, the Education Act, that is. So I support it. I do also agree with Trustee Mulholland on exemptions, but the difficulty the board had was in determining what is a not-for-profit, what is a category of affordable housing, for instance, Habitat for Humanity. So it'd be interesting in the future to look at tiered EDCs, or in addition to that, exemptions, but for the most part, the board relies on that income, and it's a good opportunity to create schools for our students.
Our young helpers over here have asked me to remind you that you don't have to come over here. You can just use one of the 3 microphones in front if you prefer. It's entirely up to yourselves. Yeah. Sorry, can we just clarify what the question was again? Can you repeat it? Sorry.
So the question from somebody watching at home is, what is your take on education development charges? What would you change, of anything, in the current education development charges bylaw that the board passed?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the clarification. I support the charges, and again, looking at refining the bylaw in terms of any exemptions that are needed, that would definitely be something that I would support.
You come in here, Michael, or there? Here? I didn't know where you were going.
Confusion.
Okay. It's easy.
If a house costs $200,000 and there's a $1,000 fee for education, that's 0.5%. That's nothing. But if the school gets $1,000 for every house that's built, I think that's a very good thing. I stand by it.
Just so you guys know, these 3 mics are working.
I know.
I can hear you guys talking.
Dare I be different? Yes. I take the low one. Actually, I reserve comment or an opinion on this, as I don't want to talk very much about something that I don't know a lot about at this point. Hopefully, if I am elected, then I would know more about it and be able to give a comment about that. But at this point, I don't. Thank you.
I think Trustee Mulholland and others have talked about the importance of, it's great that we have this policy in place now, but that we need to make sure that we're looking at exemptions for different groups. Once again, as Michael said too, I mean, if you're looking at the small charge that we are taking as an education cost to spread a little bit more over the houses to give those exemptions, I don't think is very hard. And for, this was a new thing to me. Luckily, somebody at the door has asked me this question as well. And there is a document online. If you look at the Hamilton Wentworth District School Board.on.ca, if you just type in the, the education development charge, there's a great document that kind of explains the charges and how they work. Thank you.
I would reserve my opinion until I could speak to the community at first. In my community, you're not going to see a lot of houses being built. Ward 3 is pretty jam-packed right now. I don't think we build many houses. So that's my opinion right now. Thank you.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to take a similar stand as Linda. I don't. This is my first time running. I'm going to be new and newly exposed to a lot of things. But the fact that the questions come up, I think that at least for that person at home, there's a problem there. And I think that as your trustee, it's that trustee's responsibility to find out what the problem is. If it needs to be reviewed or changed, then as a community, we would need to know that. You know, we're out here essentially bearing ourselves to everybody, not only here, but also at home. And in some cases, you know, we are not quite up to speed on certain things. That will be part of our homework to do, absolutely. But if that question is coming up, I think it's because there's a problem there. And I would really like to know what that person thinks, what the community thinks, and bring that to the board. Thank you.
Thank you, all of you. Anybody else care to bring a question forward? Really? Oh, here comes one.
I have one. I'll ask. So I know a number of candidates, I'll move back, sorry. A number of candidates, and I can't remember exactly who, but there was a few, talked about school closures as being a key part of their running. And also the Director of Education and the funding formula and a number of other formulas. My question is, trustees are appointed under the Education Act, and there's been a number of comments about the Ministry of Education. So I'm wondering, how do you move forward with the Director of Education, with the Ministry of Education, and with other members of the trustees with an adversarial approach going into it? There's been a number of comments about school closures, can't do it. The Ministry of Education, and you're appointed under the Education Act, how do you move forward with that oppositional approach?
And this is for everybody?
I can't remember who talked about school closures or anything like that,
Okay.
but I know it's been in the newspaper as well.
Right.
So that's
Okay.
my question.
Well, we'll just see what happens. Go ahead.
I talked about ethical leadership and moving forward and challenging the board, the director, up to the Ministry of Education. That is my stance, and that's something that we have, I think that as people with children in education in Ontario, I think as a trustee that is what needs to be done. Education has changed. I have been involved in education for over 60 years, holy smokes. My parents were both teachers. I'm a teacher. My son was in the education system. I've seen how it's changed. I've seen how trustees have become taken on the agenda of the ministry, and I think it's time that we need some leadership like myself in the trustee mix, and to challenge my fellow trustees and trustees in other boards to get together. That's what we do in a democracy. We get together and we say, this is not what we want. We're a democratic society and we want change.
Anybody else here? Okay.
I'll give it a try. I sit on a number of heritage committees in the city of Hamilton. And one of the things that I've done in the 8 years that I've been involved with heritage, both as a member of the heritage committee and also as the chair of the permit review subcommittee, is that I have managed to develop positive relationships between developers and the heritage community, at least the heritage community as represented by the city of Hamilton. Prior to my involvement, there was a truly adversarial, confrontational relationship between the two people. I've helped overcome that. Even many of the councillors have come up to me and said, way to go, Michael. People now are saying that heritage is a good thing to work with. I would like to do the same thing with the Ministry of Education and various other people that are dictating what we do. And it's not a question of us defending and fighting. It's a question of us building a positive relationship so that good things come out of it.
Thanks for the question. You can hear me? Excellent. Just in terms of ways to move forward with the ministry, there are obviously a number of forces that do conflict through closing schools, not closing schools, funding formulas. As a board, I think the best way to approach it is advocacy. So as a board perspective, I can tell you in the past couple of months, I moved a motion to have ombudsman oversight. I also moved a motion to write a letter to the ministry after they cut our funding, despite all of the cries from the city of Hamilton around lack of funding for renewal on our buildings. It was cut. I moved a motion that we write a letter and we advocate to the ministry. But we need to understand that we are part of one of 72 school boards in this province. We as HWDSB is a member of OPSPA, the Ontario Public School Board Association, who is the major school board advocate to the Ministry of Education. They're also constantly at the table with the Ministry of Education. So we need to build those links and figure out how we can work together and move forward. But once again, that is through advocacy and letting folks know what's happening on the ground in Hamilton.
Anybody else want to take a crack at that one? Okay.
I mean, of course, a lot of us who are talking about all these things that we don't like about what's going on because we're upset with our current representation, and that goes from our trustee right up above as we're seeing broken promises. We all realize that elections are very controversial things. If anybody watched the debate last night or watched the one at St. Giles, the mayor debate, it gets pretty rough, but we all realize that once we're elected that we need to be a team. And we've all had a chance to talk at various events and to be civil. We all realize that we all want what's best for our children and our communities. And it's important to build those relationships because we've got the province pointing this way, we've got council pointing this way, we've got the trustees pointing this way, and the community pointing at all of them. So we need to really develop a strong relationship. We need to all be strong partners. And we've all talked about council and the board, but we need to have better communication and relationship with the province because they need to step in when they're putting mandates together and we're not listening to them. Thank you.
One of the things, thank you for that question, thank you for that question. One of the things that I plan to do, and I've heard many wonderful ideas from the panel here, but one of the things that I intend to do if elected is to get a hold of that of our councillor, and see where he stands. It is definitely something that we have to tread carefully, of course, because we have to not only listen to the parents, not only listen to the voice of the community, but we also have to, like as Patterson said, listen to this, to the councilors, listen to the board, listen to all these other people. But I think that as a trustee, if elected, one of the first things that I plan to do is see where everybody stands. But first and foremostly, represent the people of Ward 3. Thank you.
Again, thank you for the question. I had mentioned earlier that I strongly believe in continual improvement, and that's what, I don't see it as a fight. I see it as we need to get together with the different parties, the ministry and the city and things like that, and develop those partnerships and move forward. There's nothing wrong with change as long as that change improves the community and our education system. Thank you.
The role of a trustee is very unique. You have to take into consideration the word of your own community and try and put that forth and try and put that to the board of the entire city of Hamilton. We take a lot of opinions. Everyone's got their opinion. Everyone has the right to their opinion, a right to their opinion. The problem is not everybody gets heard. The majority usually wins. What happens at that time is a lot of people might be disappointed in the decision. And that, the role of a trustee is to put forth a majority, work for that, for the community, and answer to the minority. Thank you.
I might have to take the opposite part of this. What exactly is the question? I heard Education Act.
The question was, how do you go forward when the whole system seems to be so adversarial between the ministry and the boards, I believe, in a nutshell.
Well, we must realize that there is structure. This is not something that can go on with no structure. The Education Act is there. That is the Bible for education. You got to follow those laws, because if you don't, you'll have havoc within the system. And the trustees, God bless them, they sit there hours upon hours making process or policy governance so that things will work, so people will work together. The Ministry of Education are not anti-child. They do things for the benefit of the province. I know we can't agree with all of it, but there has to be law, and that's democracy. So the Education Act is what we must follow as trustees, to the letter. If we don't, we are just out. So I'd have to say that, though I like the approach of, do this and do that, there is law, and we've got to follow those laws.
Ooh, Ray got the red card. That's very exciting. That'll be in the newspaper tomorrow. Do we have another question down here?
Hi there, I am a Ward 3 resident, so specifically I'd like to hear from Ward 3 candidates, but anyone is welcome to answer. I've heard a lot about how you will listen and be available, and I love what I hear and I'm encouraged. I wonder what your strategies are for advocacy and for championing the causes of Ward 3 residents and students at the board level. I've heard a lot of, I'm going to be available, I'm going to hear you, I'm going to listen. I wonder how you will move forward with the information that you hear and the voices that you hear, and what you're going to do to try and really make Ward 3 issues known and heard at the broader board level. Thank you.
Okay, so everybody from Ward 3? Anybody care to start? There we go. Yay.
Being an advocate for Ward 3 is going to be my main concern, my only concern at the beginning and the end of the day. In between, there's going to be many other concerns that come up. We have to be available, as you say, and all the candidates are saying that we are going to be available 24/7, email, phone, pager. You have to have a passion in you to take the information from the community and take advice from the community to move forward. You have to have a passion for education of the children in our community, and take the advice of the parents and the community as a whole, and basically stand up as a group. As a leader, it's my voice that is projecting your voice. And thank you.
It is a good question, because during election we do hear a lot of talk and a lot of promises, and I've been involved in the community for some time, and I believe that a way to show you'll be a champion is by being a champion in the community. And a lot of the parent councils I sat on up until Parkview, which was one of the most active ones that I sat on, I was more of a listener. I wasn't really at the meetings helping. I was kind of trying to understand the process, and that's what I spent a lot of time continuing to do. From my first ARC meeting that I attended to the transmission meetings that I attended, is to listen and to hear what the concerns are. And through this year, as I've been hearing problems and concerns from people, I've asked them to put those thoughts together, and we started Google Docs where they can write their ideas and their concerns out. And I think we need to find as many ways as a community to take all these ideas together, whether it's in person with the people who aren't technologically advanced, to Google Docs, and to use technology in ways to bring those ideas to the board. Thank you.
One of the comments that came up at the People Platform meeting not too long ago is that there's the common feeling of that the trustees are kind of hidden and they don't come out until it's election time. I don't know if you people feel like that. If you do, I certainly don't blame you. I remember when I was a small kid, back in high school, there were times where we had our General Assembly and the trustee would actually show up. He would say, hey kids, how's it going? I plan to do that. I want to set a standard. I want to set that standard that says, hey, I want the not only the parents, but also the teachers to know that there is a trustee, and his name is Eric Monterosa, if elected. I want that. And I want to set up, during parent-teacher night, I want to be there. I want to set up my little table, my little kiosk, shake hands, and take that voice. Take those things back to the school board, just as it is, and say, hey, listen, guys, this is what the parents of Ward 3 said. What are we going to do about it? Let's get together. Let's get that need met. Thank you.
I've been listening professionally to people for over 20 years in my private practice. One of the things I do is I listen very carefully. I take notes when I'm listening because that helps me focus on exactly what the people are saying. And I, with the people, try to come up with a solution for their problem. I will listen and I will do whatever I can to bring about a change for any concern that comes to me. Now, I realize sometimes it may not even have to go to the trustees, it may only have to go to the teacher, it may only have to go to the principal, but I will, if you have a concern, if you have an issue, do something about it. I've been doing it for a long time, I like doing it, and I will continue to do it.
Excuse me?
Yes.
Are we able to respond to what someone else has said?
Actually, the question was just for trustees in Ward 3.
No, I meant the previous.
To respond to,
I
I'm
just
sorry.
wanted to respond to something that Mr. Mulholland said, or add to.
Actually, I'm going to say no because I got in a little bit of trouble for doing that last night, and I don't want to get in trouble tonight, if that's okay.
I have not, I just wanted to add more to my,
Okay.
some things come up and
Alrighty. Are there any more questions from the floor? Uh-oh, look out, here comes trouble. I mean, it's Mrs. Binns. Look out, Darren,
My
look out.
husband is here. Shh. Hi, everyone. I haven't met you all. Thank you. Congratulations to all of you for putting your name on the ballot. Very scary thing. As you know, I am part of the Hamilton Wentworth Council of Home and School Associations, and I've been very lucky in my life after I moved to Hamilton to be part of Home and School. And Home and School is about advocacy. We've been doing it for 100 years, and I am part of the Federation Board of Directors, and I'm interested in how many of you know about Home and School. 2 of you better put up your hands, because I know you know. 3 more. That's great, that's wonderful. So one of the things that Hamilton Wentworth Council does is we advocate at the board level. And with Angela Murchie, our current president, we meet with the director, and we bring the voice of our associations to the board. What I need to know is, if you're my trustee and I'm a home and school member, I don't want to talk to you about school council. I want to talk to you about home and school. We're a different organization. Can you tell me how you can help me advocate, how you can use your contacts at the board to bring my association into the best light it can at my school, whether it's at my school, my local association, or maybe it's in Dundas or Ancaster. So when I need a question answered, how are you going to help me? Not just by answering the phone, but how are you going to help me help advocate in this district? Hopefully that's clear as mud.
And who would you like to answer that, Sandra?
Anyone who wants to take a stab at it, because it could be anybody
First come,
that
first serve.
comes up, right? Thanks.
As part of the accessibility that I promised, I would work on establishing a partnership with the home and school. And I would work with you on a fairly regular basis. I would attend every meeting. And if you had an issue, I would attend with you as that issue was brought forth to the school board. I would, if you wanted to go see one of the superintendents, I would work with you. We would go, we would set up a meeting, and we would address that issue with them. We would be partners.
Thank you, Sandra. So there's a couple of ways on effective advocacy from home and school or any other organization. So one of the big things in a trustee's responsibility is not just to simply raise your issue. The question is, how do we have and present effective leadership? So where should your issue be raised? So for instance, some issues may be raised through a delegation to a trustee committee. Some of it might be through a letter, through correspondence that will end up on an agenda. Some of it may be more operational and be a meeting with a principal or superintendent. Some of it may be some policy feedback that's coming for some future policy consultation that we know is coming down the road. So as a trustee, it's one thing to listen to the community and then try to project those thoughts onto the board or wherever we think it's appropriate, but the next level is to actually direct home and school or the parent to how to most effectively get the results that they're looking for. So as a trustee, the responsibility is to know the system, know the staff, know the committees, know the departments, and know what is appropriate and how to get the job done. So that's what I think an effective trustee would bring to a question like that.
I'm not sure how many schools don't know about home and school in general, but I've definitely been on parent councils who don't know much about them or what they stand for. So I think that would be another role of a trustee is to try to bring it into all schools. I mean, once I mentioned Adelaide Hoodless again to see, I think they had about 15 people there. And it's really exciting to see that kind of engagement because I've been on parent councils where engagement was pretty low. So we need those parent voices. Obviously what Trustee White was talking about is there's going to be 7 of us that are going to be new to it, so we're going to have to build our contact list. We're going to have to look at the org chart, understand what all the different roles and all the different personnel are, and to know where to direct those questions and concerns. First thing is to be at those meetings and to be open to meet with you in person, and the second is to have that list together so we know who to contact. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Well, I'm an honorary lifetime member of the home school. I'm very proud to be so. I attend many annual meetings when I can, mostly in Windsor, London, whatever. But what has to happen for the home school to gain back the respect that they deserve is that the board has to move back pre-school councils and make sure that the home school is identified as strongly as what the home school councils are, because that's where the respect is nowadays, not with the home school. And I've also as a past president of a home school way back. Thank you.
That's it? Okay. Alrighty, thank you for that. That wraps up our questions from the floor.
Sorry, can I ask one question? No? It's a quick one, I promise.
But for how many people?
It's for one person.
For one person?
Yep.
Okay, one person.
I want to know what Linda wanted to add to Ray's statement.
Oh, now, that was sneaky. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say that I totally agree with Ray that there needs to be structure and there is law, but sometimes the law needs to be challenged. And we don't always follow it like a puppet. And I think that's the time. The time is now in education, that there is enough people running who actually don't have a lot of experience but are saying it's time for change. And that it goes to do with the counselor race, it goes to do with the trustee race. People are saying it's time for change. The laws that we have in education, whether you want to call them funding formulas, whatever, they're not working. We need change, and I think it's time that trustees start to work together in that regards. We always like it to be warm and fuzzy, but sometimes it's just not warm and fuzzy, and we have to stand up for what's right. And I think it's the time now to challenge the Ministry of Education in many ways. Thank you.
All righty, thank you. Okay, now. No. It's a very awkward situation. Okay, yeah, here we go. So we're closing the questions from the floor. Again, I'm thanking all of you for putting your names forward, for putting your names on the ballot to run for Hamilton Wentworth District School Board Trustee, and certainly for coming here tonight and putting up with us and our nonsense. That's wonderful, and we appreciate it, and we congratulate all of you. Furthermore, we wish you all good luck on the elections. For those of you who don't quite make it to become the trustee in your ward, we do invite you to bring your enthusiasm and your knowledge and your skills and join a home and school association. We'd be very glad to have you there. And there is a spot for everybody at home and school.
As a way of background, there was a bit of back and forth on stage between Ray Mulholland
We now invite you
and
all
Linda.
to meet with these wonderful people who are running for trustee in the lobby, and I think there might be some little snackies out there. Knowing it is a home and school function, there's probably snackies out there. And you can meet with your trustees one-on-one, or trustee candidates, one-on-one, and ask questions or just chat or whatever you like. Again, we encourage you all to vote early, and vote. Vote for English Public School Trustee. Your ballot will have a blue header on it, just so that you know. Don't take the other colors. So thank you all for coming tonight, and we'll see you again in 4 years. Thank you.